First and foremost, thank you all for being here to celebrate, as I affectionately refer to him, the big man's birthday. And we're here tonight to not just celebrate Mies's birthday, but celebrate this fine institution that we're all associated with. Tonight, I'd like to make a couple of brief comments, pass it off to others. First, I'd like to say that the Mies Society has really lived up to the name of this event by stepping up and doing a really tremendous job of raising funds for the restoration of the south porch and stairs. We're working with a great team of our facilities people here at IIT, Gunny Harbo, master restoration architect, and all of our board members have participated, which is really wonderful, and we're looking forward to Gunny's presentation to talk a little bit about the work we're going to do. And then just in closing, I'd like to say all of you are familiar with the Mies Society, but tell your friends about it. We can really grow this organization significantly, and that's our goal over the next couple of years. So thanks for your time. I'm going to hand it off to Reed, now that he's got his mouth full.
All right, here we go.
There you go.
Thank you, Ed.
You bet.
Hi, everybody. Wow, that's a loud mic. Nice to see all of you. Thank you for coming out tonight. It's really great to see this many people live in Crown Hall, not on video in some fashion. And we're delighted that you came out to support the Mies Van der Rohe Society and also wish Mies a happy birthday. Happy 136th birthday. I was informed today by our provost. I just want you to know that our provost knew Mies's birthday and knew which day it was. That says a lot, ladies and gentlemen. We are a rare college of architecture that has a provost not only who knows who Mies is, but that he has a birthday and what day it is. It's a sign that the provost really, really cares for us and cares for this college. So we have a great supporter, and I am a lucky dean as a result. The other thing that's super important that I want to mention tonight that Ed began to discuss is the relationship between the college and the Mies Van der Rohe Society. That's a relationship that supports this college in so many ways. And what's wonderful about it is, for most people, even if you don't know a thing about what we do in this building, you can see the work of the Mies Van der Rohe Society simply by stepping onto a staircase or over into a chapel or any number of 100 ways that they have helped build the physical infrastructure of this campus, support the physical infrastructure of this remarkable, world-renowned campus. They also support us in so many ways other than just that. And just the general outpouring of support for our students, a pile of which you can see all around you, and our faculty, a number of which you can see here, like that one over there, Dirk Dennison, and there are more. Majub El-Namiri is right over there, and there are many more. I know Jen Park is somewhere hidden in the background somewhere. There she is over there. We've got a real great group of people with us this evening from the faculty. I hope you'll get a chance to say hello to them. I just want to say thank you one more time to the Mies Van der Rohe Society for everything they do for us and all of the exciting projects that they do, all that are run by Cynthia. And she does such an incredible job. Can we have a round of applause for Cynthia Branas-Olsen? And I think, having exhausted your patience, who am I turning this over to next? Next, it's going to, look. Now we're going from the ridiculous to the sublime. Please help me welcome Gunny Harbo.
Thank you, Reed. And thank you all for coming. This is always a fun event, Mies's birthday, and it's great to celebrate it in this incredible building. I was asked to make some comments about the project that's brewing here, not reconstruction, but restoration of the south porch and stairs. As many of you may remember, it was about 20 years ago that the south porch was reconstructed by Fujikawa Johnson. And contrary to popular belief, the travertine is not the problem. The problem is that maintenance is not done as well as it might be over those many years. And the treads themselves have quite a bit of flexure in them, and it's caused some of the the bond between the bottom of the travertine and the steel to fail, and therefore some of the treads are loose, a couple of them have cracked. Anyway, it's a situation that we need to rectify, so we are planning to restore all the travertine. There's a few that have to be replaced. And sort of the exciting, interesting twist on it is we were asked if we could figure out a way to incorporate a heating system so that we don't have the ice and snow buildup that's been a perpetual problem there. And I have to say, at the very beginning, I was like, I don't think so. Trying to keep steel warmer and putting it through 2 inches of travertine is probably not going to be possible. But through some diligent research and hard work, we think we might have a solution. Where's that element? Anyway, using thermoplastics in a very thin sandwich under the travertine steps. And if you can, thank you, Kevin. And if you can keep it warm enough, which is a problem because it's going to use some juice. But of course, we have photovoltaics on the roof now, so maybe that's a good dedicated. I don't think it'll be zero energy, but whatever. Hopefully that'll help. And we are proposing that this be mocked up. I'm not going to go into any detail about it. If you want to know more, there's a couple of boards in the corner over there which explain it in pretty good detail about what we're planning to do. Very excited working with facilities. Kevin and his team are really been great to work with, and we're hoping, on all aspects of what we've been able to do down here. And we're hoping to move ahead, and hopefully we can try this mock-up to see, because we don't want to invest all the money in doing something that isn't going to work. So it works on paper, but whether it works in reality or not is yet to be proven. We're optimistic, and it would be if it does work, it'll be the first time it's been tried and worked that we can find out, and it has a lot of application both on the campus and many other similar kind of situations. That's really it for the South Porch. I think Cynthia wants to share with you some other projects that the Mies Society is engaged in right now.
Thank you, Gunny. Before I speak, well, and if this is a challenging project, why wouldn't it be figured out here at IIT, right? So I'd like to invite Ernie. He doesn't know he's speaking, but Ernie Eiseminger, our VP of Advancement. This party really wouldn't be happening without Advancement promoting it and supporting it, and our wonderful team. So I want him to just say hello. Ernie?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I always love being with all these architects. It's always a fun time for me. And so quickly, welcome tonight. I love being here. I've been traveling quite a bit for us, and I'm in for a couple of days. Cynthia said, can you come tonight? And I said, of course. And so here I am. I fly back out tomorrow. But congratulations on all the great progress on the back porch. I am a donor to that, by the way. And so I encourage you to keep supporting the Mies Society, and it's the most worthy cause, and there's a lot to do. So thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you, Ernie. And the fact that we have Ernie and our Provost Kilpatrick here, and Bruce Watts, and several, Miriam Sela, the Executive Director of Kaplan, it means that the Mies Society is valued here. So I really want to say thank you. Dean Kroloff, our great partner from the College of Architecture. And to all of you, thank you for being here. So Gunny talked about the project that is in progress, and he's kind of joined at the hip with us. So whether he loves us or not, he's stuck with us for a while. But it's been a great process, and our facilities partners with Kevin in the lead now, and Bruce Watts, we've just been so fortunate to work with them. Their diligence, their guidance, they're always there for us, every phone call. But I want to talk to you about our next project very briefly. And could I have the iPro students come on over? So iPro, while they're coming, iPro, look at this small group, right? And a few of them couldn't make it tonight. One had tennis practice. Oh no, wait a minute. Davis, you came. No tennis practice tonight. Yeah, it rained. Yay. Okay, so I had the honor of, Miriam asked if I would teach an iPro, and I said I'd be honored and delighted. And so we tied it in with the Mies Society's latest project, which is to rehabilitate and repurpose with facilities the tower at 35th and State on campus here, the lobby, gallery, and auditorium space, which is beautiful but kind of tired. You know, it's old but kind of well appointed. So we thought that going along with Mies's principles, that we could make an exhibition space in the lobby, which held a Florence Knoll and Mies exhibition still up on display, and that we would just start using it. But knowing that we wanted to increase performance, bring community into IIT, and noticing that the building, as my students have said, the building is kind of like the body. It faces 35th, so it should welcome people in. It should be the handshake to the community. So with that, what I'd like to say is that 15 Archies, as they're called affectionately, 8 engineers and 2 psych majors put together a presentation on this monitor that you can see becomes the basis by which we make decisions to renovate the lobby and the gallery and auditorium. They've asked questions like, what if a building has a brain? How do buildings shape us? How does the architect and design team shape our buildings? They all have acted as consultants, passing along information week by week that you'll see on the screen, covering disciplines of psychology, sociology, business, architecture, design. We told them we wouldn't get too architecture heavy. I promised that we would really make it multidisciplinary. So with that, you see their work from just 2 months, right? Yeah. They also have read weekly. They read, for some philosophical underpinning, they've read Vitruvius, they've read excerpts from Schopenhauer, from Kant, and then more recently, Pelasma, Harry Mulgrave, our professor emeritus, and Michael Arbib, a neuroscientist. So with that, what I'd like to do is to invite you to look at their work. And on the back wall, right behind Gunny, George, and Kevin, is sort of what began the semester, was this sort of figuring things out. How do we come together? How do we figure out how to make a very special place in the tower lobby that becomes an external reach to our community and an internal extension of education, culture, art, and gathering. So that board represents the 7 colleges at IIT, plus we added music in there, and for Vandercook. I think we should congratulate these students. Yeah. And with that, I'd also like to say thank you, a quick thank you to Dirk Dennison and for this marvelous MCHAP exhibition on the other side of the wood wall. Dirk, would you like to say a few words now, since we have you? Yeah. And it's a magnificent exhibition that, after we enjoy cocktails and some appetizers for a little bit, we'll pass to the center core.
That
Dirk?
sounds great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh,
And-
I forgot to say that one thing about Scott, right?
Oh, yeah, please.
So, no, stay.
Oh.
So Dirk was my first studio professor here at IIT. We have, I have a very good friend that I met in Dirk's studio who has the students in Sydney, Australia, who join us several times during the semester. He's a program director of interior design, and several of our students have worked with his students. And I met Scott the first day of class with
Yeah.
Dirk. Yeah.
That's terrific, amazing. That full arc that you guys all got to work long distance with the crew, with yet another amazing legacy. I am going to orient you to the next experience you're going to have. We coordinated the celebration, of Mies's birthday with the launch of Cycle 4 for MCHAP. And I want to just start off by thanking the Society for the support for this prize. Really an angel level of support that allowed us to kickstart now 8 years ago, what has become a major international research project. I call it a mining expedition into what is being done in architecture in the Americas now. And what we have to share with you today is the exhibition of the Cycle 4, which is representing work over the last 4 years, exhibition of nominated projects for this year's cycle. So today is actually the first day of the next cycle of MCHAP. And these projects have been nominated throughout North and South America by a set of anonymous experts who can nominate up to 5 projects. We have two prizes, the main prize and the Emerge. The Emerge is for work done by firms within the first 10 years of their practice. And we now have this year-long process that will go on that engages the school and the students looking at this work here, narrowing it down. The jury then goes to visit the work. Then we bring all of those people back, which many of you from the society have been an important part of our dynamic when that happens. September will be Emerge, next spring will be the main prize, and then of course the winners are asked to come and teach. So the further trajectory of that initiative becomes a teaching expedition, experience for the students, and then we do a research, which each one of the prize is actually a publication. So we're also celebrating, yesterday we had the book launch, MCHAP The Americas 2, looking at expeditions and territories, edited by Florencia Rodriguez, which is our book looking at everything we've learned from the first 2 cycles of MCHAP. So there's a lot happening today, the very rich palette, and my thanks goes out to all of you individually who've been so essential to building the Mies van der Rohe Society. So thank you.
A round of applause for Vandercook College of Music. Right on campus. You can take piano lessons, saxophone lessons, anything you want pretty much on campus. So bravo. So I'm going to set my drink down on a non-sloping surface and tell you that we've got a very special club act coming up here. We have an artist in residence, my dear friend Venetia Stifler and Concert Dance Inc. And Venetia is a PhD dancer, has her own company, Concert Dance Inc., and they've prepared a wonderful number. Venetia and I together have been exploring the connection between architecture, movement, and dance for quite some time now. So please welcome Venetia Stifler and Concert Dance Inc.
I'm so excited, thank you. This is a great party. I come every year. I love it. I love Chicago architecture, and I love Mies van der Rohe. Cynthia asked us to do a little club act tonight, and she assigned me 3 minutes. And I pay attention. I'm a dancer. If the choreographer says 3 minutes, it's 3 minutes.
It's all timing.
It's about timing. Okay, we're honored to be here, and it's so nice to visit with you. Thank you for your kind recognition.
My pleasure, Venetia. Thank you. Thank you very much. So are we allowed to say the title of the music? Because it relates to our theme, of course.
You wanted Steppin' Up? We gave you Steppin' Up. Yeah. I had Jimmy Moorhead rewrite the arrangement, and I had Christina learn a new version of it, and then we choreographed a little bit. So it is about your stairs, it's about Mies's stairs, it's about what you're here for tonight, and I'm doubly happy to be here for that reason. It's about what you're trying to accomplish tonight, and we're all stepping up.
Bravo. Thank you.
Stepping out with my baby, can't be bad to feel so good. Ask me when will the day be? The big day may be tonight. Stepping out with my baby, can't be bad to feel so good. Ask me when will the day be? The big day
Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Jimmy, and to the dancers and Venetia, our artist in residence at the Mies Society. Thank you so much. Exploring the connections between architecture and dance with us this year. So I'd like to call a Mies board member to the stage, as it is, George Sorich, an alum from the College of Architecture. George is an architect, graduated in 1986, not that long ago, and he just would like to say a few words, so here he is.
Awesome. Thanks. It is so great to be here. I mean, what fun it is to be here after so many years. So, as Cynthia mentioned, graduate 86, also the co-chair of the Mies Society membership committee. So it's a bit of a pitch that I'm going to make here about getting involved in Mies Society. I know so many of you are involved here already, but as well, you know, why? Why get involved and why be part of what we're doing here? And, you know, for me, I think, obviously, I'm a graduate here. I've lived this building. I've lived this campus. But the story of Mies is something that we have to share beyond those of us that have been here in this building on this campus. Because the story of Mies, it's a global story. It's a story about social change. It's a story about politics. It's a story about war. It's a story about hope. It's an immigrant story. It's a Chicago story. It's a story that belongs to all of us. And it belongs to all of us through these experiences. So it's not just about those of us that graduated here, but it's about all of us here tonight and all of us sharing that legacy, those experiences, those ideas. So with that, I'm making my pitch to ask that all of you who are members, of course, thank you for the support, and please renew your membership. For those that are not members, please consider becoming a member, and please invite friends, family, colleagues to become part of our living history, our collective history through the Mies Society. Okay, thank you. Oh, great. Okay, yeah, so we have the cake pops and we have the champagne. Hopefully everyone has all that in hand. Are we moving on from there, Cynthia? Okay, great. So we're going to walk around for a little bit, enjoy each other's company, enjoy the experiences, our history, and we'll be back here in a few minutes. Thanks.
There's a lady who's sure all that glitters is gold, and she's going the stairway to heaven. When she gets there, she knows if the stores are all closed, with a word she can get what she needs.
It's my great pleasure to introduce a friend of mine once again, who I really think represents very much what we try to be here at IIT, which is a mission-driven school, a school that has, from the day it opened till now, and will continue to be, a place where people who might not have had the opportunity to experience higher education get to experience the finest higher education. And there is no better concentration of that than here in the College of Architecture, which is why it is such a privilege to be part of this enterprise. And all of you are as well. And we thank you for being here tonight. We especially thank the Mies van der Rohe Society, or the Mies Society as we call it for short. Their newest project is right outside the door here. You don't walk on it now. That's a little slippery. Is right outside the door here. But their work will never stop, just as Mies's influence in architecture on this campus and in modern society does not stop either. So please help me welcome the embodiment of all that is IIT, our provost, Peter Kilpatrick. Here's to Peter. Thank you. You are welcome. You are welcome.
So it's such a pleasure to be here tonight to celebrate Mies's birthday and to celebrate the good work of the Mies Society. You know, what the Mies Society represents for me is building community within the university, but also recognizing that we have a really important role to play here in the greater community of Chicagoland and in Bronzeville. And I know our current president, Raj Ichabadi, who unfortunately was unable to be here with us tonight, this is a real priority for him, is allowing the university to engage really fruitfully with the Bronzeville community and with Chicagoland as a greater community. I know this is really important to him. I also want to applaud the work of the College of Architecture. I shared yesterday morning how important the college is to me. And, you know, I think I shared at that event yesterday that, you know, you're not allowed to share who your favorite children are. And similarly, as a provost, you're not allowed to share who your favorite colleges or deans are. But I love the College of Architecture. It's architecture for 45, 50 years has been a really important part of my life. I studied architecture when I was an undergraduate. I love architecture in all of its representations. When I first came here, I was a real fan of classical architecture, and I kind of said, well, what does modern architecture have to say to the world of transcendental values? And I came to understand that it has a lot to say. And what it has to say is very important. And this building is such a beautiful example of that. It's innovative, it's gorgeous, it's elegant in a way that many classical buildings are not. And so I've come to learn how important that is to the world of values. And I've become a real fan. And so I'm in love with the college, and I'm in love with modern architecture. And as a result, I'm in love with Mies van der Rohe. And and so it's my joy and privilege to be here tonight with you to celebrate Mies and his accomplishments. I'm a member of the Mies Society. I renew my membership every year. I hope you will too. And I hope you'll tell a friend. I hope you'll get your friends and relatives and acquaintances to become members of the Mies Society. And I love what they've done for the university, for Mies, and for Mies. And and for all that we represent. And with that, it's my joy and privilege to introduce Dirk Lohan. Dirk Lohan is an immense friend of the university and of the grandson of Mies van der Rohe, an alumnus of this university, an accomplished architect and designer, and a very good friend of mine. And so, Dirk, it is with great joy that I present you to toast your grandfather. Please, if you will come forward and say a few words.
So good evening. This is one of the conditions under which I have agreed to make a toast tonight is a real martini. This evening, like previous ones, bring back so many memories for me. I have been a student here in 1957, first, my freshman year. I started studying architecture in Chicago, even though I grew up in Germany and finished my architectural studies in Munich, Germany. And my desk was in that corner there. And I tell you, I sweated all summer long over my drawings. And I had to make sure that my sweat didn't drip into the ink on the Strathmore. So I'm also touched by being in the presence of this sculpture here. Let me remove the hat because it changes him a little bit. The artist is Hugo Weber, who was a Swiss artist from New York, who moved to New York and also lived in Chicago for a while, and befriended Mies and asked Mies if he could make drawings, paintings, and sculpture of him. He belonged to the abstract expressionists in New York City, but never quite made the fame of some of the others like Jackson Pollock, etc. But Hugo Weber, I think, captured some strong features that Mies had in the head here. The only thing that I must say that disturbs me always is he chopped off his shoulders. Mies had enormous shoulders. It was robust that way. And anyway, it's a pleasure to be so close to it because I've never actually stood here in all these years. The other thing that brings back memories are the steps that we are celebrating. What's going on here with the doors are clanking? When I was working on a project, actually the new National Gallery in Berlin, with Mies, there were exterior stairs to be made, and I took these as my model. The proper rise, the proper size of the step. And I said, how did you come up with this proportion and these dimensions? And he said, you know, when I was new in Chicago, I lived on Michigan Avenue at the, what's the hotel next to the Hilton Hotel? The Blackstone Hotel. He lived there for a whole year and taught here, not in Crown Hall, but at IIT. And I used to take walks in the park, and and then he described the location. There are some steps where the terrain changes, and they are so beautifully proportioned. And I knew exactly how they were done, And that was the model for him. So see, there's a connection to Chicago even in these steps. But I would like to, first of all, raise my glass to Mies as the mentor, the teacher, the influence, the great figure that we all adore and admire and have learned from. And let me have one little sip to begin this, and I will say a few more things. Cheers, everybody. Lo and behold, this is real. So let me tell you a few observations and little anecdotes about the character and the personality of the human being, Mies van der Rohe, and the architect, Mies van der Rohe. I've been thinking about him, what I admired about him, among other things. Of course, his talent as a designer and his eye for proportions and so on. But let me tell you the story of his name change. I mean, why did a young architect in the early 20s in Berlin, who's called Ludwig Mies, change his name to Mies van der Rohe, van der Rohe? And it is actually only understandable if you understand the German language. The word Mies means bad, really. If you say this is a Mies architecture, it's that. And I'm sure that his friends of the same age made jokes about him and his work and his designs or abilities. And he said, I got to change my name and have a different name so they don't all my life ruin my career with criticism of my name as a joke. And he added the name of the maiden name of his mother, Van der Rohe, came from the Belgian side of the border. He lived, of course, in Aachen, right next to the Dutch border. Literally, the street where he was born, a few hundred yards west, and you were in Holland. So that's how he made a very positive thing. The name Mies van der Rohe, once you learned it, once you knew these are 4 words, and you knew how to spell it, you'd never forget it. And I think it helped him greatly. So that's one story that tells you a little bit about his character. The other one is actually this building here. I remember talking about it with him, and I was saying, you know, everybody admires the proportions of the elevation, the windows, the width, the height, the lower portion, and so on. How did you do that, with drawings or how? He said, well, we made drawings, large-scale drawings, and I decided what the right proportion is. But let me tell you, what we finally built is not what I wanted. We had the building, and if I remember this correctly, about 12 inches higher than it is built. I said, what happened? He said, well, we had a budget problem. And they asked me to find a certain amount of money to delete from the building. And after thinking about it, he said to the team, to the university, we're going to cut 1 foot out of everything, and that will pay for that budget overrun and make it come in right. And even after that, when you think of it, most students and most people talk about the great proportion of these windows here. But as I look at them, now that I know this, what he told me, I think there's a foot missing. What? Another project. Yeah, yeah. Another very interesting detail anecdote. He and I worked closely on the new National Gallery in Berlin, which was recently renovated after 50 years. And I was responsible for that project. I traveled regularly to Berlin in the 60s. And occasionally he came along and we took a trip to Europe. And we stayed at this was West Berlin at the time, not the United Berlin in Germany as it is now. The building was in construction, and I went every day for several hours to the construction site, met with the building team, with the superintendent, and so on, and the consultants, and did my work. And he stayed in the hotel, sitting near the window and looking out over the city, it was the Hilton Hotel, and had a nice view there over the city. And after about 7 days of this routine every day, I said, I had a young family in Chicago, young children, and I wanted to get back to Chicago, to my home. And I said, my work's done, we can go home. He said, why rush so much? I like it here. And I said, this only a grandson can say this to his grandfather. I said, well, but you don't do anything. You just sit there in front of the window and look out the window. And he said, what do you do? What do you mean? I work. Seriously. He said, I work. And that is true because I have observed that he created many of the concepts for his buildings first in his head through his thought and not through sketching and that. That came later to refine it. And well, eventually we packed up and left. And because he was a great cigar smoker, we bought Cuban cigars in Europe, which at the time you couldn't buy in the United States. Those Monte Cristo cigars, there was a box left, and he said, put that in your suitcase. I don't want to be caught at the customs. So I'm just telling you these stories to tell you that Mies was a great thinker, a great philosopher in many ways, but also a very practical man. These stories about cutting a foot out of a building to save a little money, it shows how practical he was and how realistic he was. Yeah, the one last little anecdote that I get a kick out of. I worked on the National Gallery in Berlin, and it's a major building. If you don't know it, you should look it up. It was recently restored to the tune of 150 million euros. And I was involved again. I was a very active participant and consultant and went over there in the last few years several times. And the architect that was chosen to do this, because they had a reputation for restoration of museum work already in Germany, was David Chipperfield. David Chipperfield is a British architect, but has a very fine office in Berlin, permanent office in Berlin. And we got along, we became very friendly, we worked very well. They researched everything. All my correspondence from the 60s was dug up, and often they presented it to me. What did you mean by this, and so on and so on. Anyway, so after the building was finished this last fall, there was a public event at which David Chipperfield and I were asked to talk about the project. And David, at one point, we told stories and what our experiences were and how well we worked together and appreciated each other. And then the moderator said, well, what will happen in the future, the next 50 years? And David Chipperfield said, well, Dirk Lohan will be there in 50 years again. So, I don't know if I will live that long, but if I do, I'll give you a toast at that time. So with that, I'd like to thank you for listening, and let me raise my glass once more in honor of our great Mies, and it is heartwarming to see so many people and this school at this college still remembering the man and his work, and I thank you very much. Cheers.
Stay here for a moment.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Okay, shall I hold this or
Yeah,
put
yes.
this down?
No, you can drink it.
Okay.
Yeah. You can drink that.
She says I can drink
Yeah.
it.
Catherine, is that okay? Yeah, sure, he can drink. Okay, so I'd like to take a moment to thank Dirk for mentoring us, for always being available, for guiding us, for correcting us on facts, and for teaching us and sharing his grandfather's memory with us. I'd also like to call anybody who's on the board over very quickly, if you're able to come. Ed, Steve Weiss, our past chair, Steve Weiss. We've got another past chair, double past chair, Barbie, Chandra,
Oh, yeah. Chandra, yeah, I haven't seen her.
Alex Krikar, George Sorich, Carolyn, good dear friend, and everybody who's on the board right now who's come. Bernhard. Who are we missing? Reed Kroloff. Where's the dean? He's on our board. Bravo. So Dirk Dennison.
Is he on the?
Okay,
He's on
Dirk,
the board?
excuse,
Yeah.
Dirk is on the board, yeah.
We're the only two Dirks in Chicago.
Yeah, all on our board. So with the raise of, as we talked about, we have a 25-person board. And with the raise of, with the prospect of raising at least, well, $250,000 for the restoration of the steps. During COVID, I turned to Barbie and Prue Beidler, our most veteran, and Steve Weiss was the chair at that point, and Ed was coming into being chair, and said, are we out of our minds for doing this during COVID? And they said, absolutely not. This is the time to get people together and to take care of our building. And so within a year, we raised $285,000. And the board, we were the first, this was the group that first put their money into this project. So I want to thank them and thank you for everything that you do, and thank all of you for supporting this huge, huge effort. Cheers. Pardon? You want to say something?
Reluctant,
Come on, Steve, you can do it.
Cynthia asked me if I want to say something. Have I ever said no to that? I was talking earlier this evening with Ernie Eisenminger and with Peter McBride, Peter Kilpatrick, I'm so sorry. And we were talking about IIT. Many of us are IIT model alumni. We came from working class backgrounds in Chicago, public schools. This was a real reach for us. For me, it was either Circle or IIT, and I didn't see a lot of choice. I mean, it was going to be IIT or bust. This place makes architects. This building makes architects. People who can think about architecture, people who understand what architecture means, with a faculty that practices architecture and imparts that knowledge of practice into their students. And it makes it, in addition to being the single greatest building of modern architecture, okay, that's my it makes it an extraordinary place, an extraordinary school, and an extraordinary institution across the board. And I have been really honored to be part of the Mies Society, as I think all of us have for these few years. And the idea that we could raise the funds for the South Porch as quickly and as I have to say, as easily as we did, is just miraculous. And I think we're all deeply appreciative of all of you that have contributed, and all of you that have contributed. And I also personally am enormously appreciative of the friendship of Mr. Lohan and his connection to the man who really sort of is at the base of our architectural knowledge, our architectural life. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You should tell me if I'm going to speak.
So,
Oh, it didn't break.
didn't break. There you go.
Dirk said it wasn't me. All right, well, thank you. Please mingle, please grab a cake pop and another glass of champagne. And thank you to all of you for being here, and have a great evening and a safe drive home. Thank you.
Thank you.